them will be walking out in about 15 minutes.
At-large Postian.
Here.
Council Ward number 1 Hembry.
Here.
Ward number 2 Helm.
Here.
And Ward number 3 McNeil.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so to the agenda, I'd like to remove number 1 under the city business, but then move up number 4 to the first slot to hopefully accommodate Councilperson Cummins' attendance.
I'll make a motion.
Cummins with the first to approve the agenda,
Second.
and Postian with the second.
Cummins,
Yeah.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Hembry.
Yes.
All right, so the communications, we do have one scheduled. It's Sally Groves. You just want to speak from there, you can. I know shoes might be a little wet, so you can just stay right there.
We wanted to get permission from the city to on Small Business Saturday, so November 26th. The tent that we're going to be putting up for our party, we own. If we could get permission to put it up on the city side, the side that the city owns, to have Santa be in there. The bakery wants to put up a table. We want to put up a table. We would just do hot chocolate and spiked hot chocolate. So we'll have some for adults, some for kids. The bakery would do cookies and cupcakes. We've talked to the poorhouse. They may want to do some hot ciders, that kind of thing, just to make it more, I don't know, eventful, friendly, family friendly.
After the tree lighting.
Yes, after the tree lighting, and then a place for people to sit and have cookies and have a drink, warm up, see Santa. So if it's cold, they're not out there going, okay, we just want to go home. You know, they might want to spend more time downtown. So
Santa's hard to book.
we already have Santa.
Oh,
I
good.
was thinking ahead.
We do have a Santa.
I guess my only question would be, there are people who rent the Hardacre apartments that park there. Do you
Okay.
know how far
I don't know.
or how many? This might also,
They're in the parking lot portion. It won't be in the road.
no,
Right,
yeah,
Right.
but yeah, they do park there. I don't
so,
know
I
how
see
big
what
the
you're
tent
saying.
is, we could actually measure to see how many spots.
So,
will
but-
be taken.
if we get to that point, the motion that I would request from you guys is to direct the city staff to work with Sally on that.
And it is for the chamber that we're doing it for, so it's not just for us. I mean, we're donating the man hours to put up the tent, we're donating, you know. to put
I
up
think it's a
chairs
great
and
idea.
tables. It's just-
Yeah.
it's at no cost to anyone.
You guys have any questions for him? All right, then I would ask for a motion to direct city staff to work with
Motion.
Second.
Helm with first and Postian with the second.
Cummins,
Yeah.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Hembry.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. It sounds great. It'll be a good time that night. Now, since they were the only scheduled one, now it's the open communications. And if anyone would like to discuss anything with the council, this is the time.
I actually have.
Oh.
something to bring up.
All right, yeah.
Not to complain, I don't know what we can do, but we're trying to clean up downtown. We're trying to make it nice. We've done a lot to our building to make it nice. The trash cans that are sitting on our street, is there any way they can be put back in the alley? I know it's tight back there, but we all have to walk around and put our garbage around the corner. I don't understand why just one half of a block is allowed to do it in our entire downtown.
Actually, I think we just changed that not too long ago, didn't we, Steve? Because that building owner came and asked.
There's been a change back and forth on that. I think Sally's right. I'd like to see them back in the alley.
I mean, we have a lot of people that come to our establishment that walk right by filthy garbage to get there. And It's just, it's not pretty.
The one big challenge we have with that is a lot of people put a lot of stuff in trash cans
They
in
do.
alleys.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah,
fair game.
that was the big issue, yeah.
And that was why we moved them out. I think the Stumbles requested
Mm-hmm.
that because
Right.
their cans are full of it.
Right. And we've had issues too, but we've had less issues since we have cameras back there. So now we have cameras that capture all of that.
If you have cameras back there,
So-
that could really discourage people.
Then if they have a problem, they could let us know and we could go through the footage and let the city know, and then the city can figure out who's dumping their garbage that shouldn't be.
So Steve, do you want to spearhead that
Oh,
and
you
talk
bet.
to them? Awesome.
I'd be happy to. do that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing if there are none, I'll close that portion of the meeting and we'll move down to the consent agenda. And these can be enacted with one motion. It is the approval of the council meeting minutes from October 10th, approval of the library special meeting minutes from August 30th, approval of the library minutes from September 19th, approval of the library director's report from September of 2022, approval of the airport minutes from October 12th, approval of the investment and treasurer's report from September of 22, approval of the development director's report on October 11th of 22, also the approval of a drip request from Austin Milligan at New Body Fitness at 513 Cedar Street, and approval of a trip request for KMAC Properties from Dwayne Webb at 46 Spruce Street. And then finally, the approval of the claims register, which includes claims paid under the current purchase policy. Is there any of these that want to be pulled out? Seeing there are none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Cummins with the first and McNeil with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins.
All right, so the first thing under city business is discussion of possible action concerning the Wellmark grant agreement extension for the 4th Street Plaza project downtown. Mr. Wagner?
Yeah, this was the award of a $25,000 grant for the green space area. The reason for the extension is the larger grant that we're supposed to be awarded won't be finalized, we believe, until June, and that's by the National Park Service. Before that, the DNR approved it, but it has a second step. And so the Wellmark Foundation is offering an extension to try to get the project done, which I hope is well beyond what we need. They're offering until December 31 of 2025. So what this is a request to accept this amendment to their grant agreement.
I'll make a motion
To approve?
to approve, sorry, yes.
Cummins with the first to approve.
Aye.
Hembry with the second.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Hembry.
All right, down to the second one, which is a discussion and possible action concerning the airport's cropland bid results, the bid award, and authorizing the development and execution of a cropland lease and rental agreement. Brian?
Yes. The airport hadn't taken bids on the 20 acres that is mostly parallel to the runway for quite some time. In fact, the last time they did it goes beyond when I came. So it's at least before 2017. They were getting, I think it's $240 a month in rent. The airport committee thought that it would be just a good thing to do to rebid it. We came up with bid documents. We put it out for bids. We had 2 box ads in the paper. In the end, we got 2 bids. It was set up to be over 3 years. So what we were looking for was what is each bidder proposing per year for the 3-year period. And then the winner would be determined according to the total of the 3 years. So we had 2 bids in the end. One was Joe Fogg, that was for $12,000. The other one was from Bobby Kaufman, which was $16,000 over the 3 years. So that's much better than what we had been doing in the past. I have to point out, this was a strict bid. It had a closed bid process. We opened both bids at the same time. This was the result. And we're at the point where if the council agrees to move forward, then we'll sign with the new renter for a 3-year period starting in March of 23.
Any questions regarding this? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to accept Bobby Kaufman.
Cummins with the first, Posturing with the second.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNeil,
Abstain.
Helm,
All right. Next up is the final reading for an ordinance that amends Chapter 69, which is the no parking zones. Mr. Wagner, any change?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the final reading of Helm with the first and Posturing with the second?
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins. Oh.
She
just
just,
left.
yeah, just walked out.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
All right, down to number 5, discussion of possible action concerning donating time and material to the new concessions/restrooms at the football field. Steve? Brian?
John.
Oh, John, sorry.
Yeah, it's a project that the school brought up. They want to do, I believe, next spring or fall. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but looking at it, I thought it'd be a good gesture on our part to donate some time and material on it, and might be able to sway them into leaving it open for everybody else to use. So, any questions on that? I can get into more detail for it. But the building's gonna kind of be encroaching on the existing primary wire that's there. So it's a good time to, if we have to move it, we'll just.
Mm-hmm. All right,
I think it's a good effort.
yeah. Any questions for John? Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Helm with the first and Posturing with the second?
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
All right, down to number 6, which is discussion of possible action concerning a new lease agreement for the city development office. And as it says in there, this is Linda's office. There's no substantial changes, except it's a 5-year term this time.
Right,
Mr. Wagner?
and the monthly rent is the same. So I mean, I remember at the time we evaluated different locations. And I remember saying that this location and the offer we got from this landlord was the best value that we saw. And I think it's still the case. I think it's played out that way exactly. So I think Linda is happy there. And it would be great if we could renew.
Motion to approve.
All right, McNeil with the first approve. Sorry, who was second? Helm with the second?
Helm,
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
All right, and down to discussion of possible action that would concern a suggestion about a mayor/council work session or the possibility of a special meeting concerning the ambulance service coverage goals. Brian?
Well, first, this is set up as a motion. It can be a motion or it can just be a consensus, but if you say in the affirmative that you'd like to do it, then we would look for a date that works for you. We would look for a date that works for the other staff and members of the ambulance squad. There are, as I mentioned in the beginning of the write-up, in 1 week, there are 168 hours. our goal is to try to pin down how many hours the council would find acceptable as far as coverage goes, because we don't think you can afford, that the city can afford full coverage around the clock. It's a different animal than the police department, where you might have one officer at times on duty. This would require a team to be on duty, a driver and at least a driver and someone else in the back of the ambulance. So with the mix of volunteers and current staff, what can we do to add to that to bring the level of coverage up to what the council feels may not be perfect, but it is at least acceptable in your minds as representatives of the public? I guess I want to mention something that Brad mentioned, and I use general numbers. He knows them more specifically than I do, but in the write-up that I gave you, I mentioned that in the time when the ambulance service was all volunteer, Brad said that looking back, there were around 300 calls a year, in that 300 something. Yeah. Well, while you're here, before the pandemic, annual calls were around,
When I started, I think about 6 years ago, I want to say Tipton was somewhere around 550 in service. We're going to project 760. It used to grow by 2.25% annually. And now the change is just exponentially changing on us. There's no why.
well, and with, well, the population's getting older. We've been through a pandemic, and so there's probably a lot more health problems out there, I'm guessing. I know from getting older, but I have more.
Yeah, to get into the real nuts and bolts, when I look at like the data, we're not seeing changes in demographics or something that we're seeing in the older population causing the vast majority of the issues, or younger one, or some sort of increase in trauma due to COVID. It's really, we're seeing the shift in society that people are going away from primary care as a healthcare provider, you're jumping to doctor to emergency care. It seems like the pattern that's seen out on the coast has started driving into the Midwest. Usually it takes about 6 to 10 years to make it here. And it happened, it was predictable. And as such, we're seeing more people calling 911 for things that 20 years ago, we would have never seen people call 911 for. And the fact of the matter is that I don't think that we should be judging if it's an emergency or not. I think at the end of the day, when somebody's calling themselves, it's their emergency. We should be making an attempt as best we can on every level to provide a level of care we can to them. If I'm going too far, feel free to cut me off.
Well, but I think the one thing is what we have now is a different ballgame from what we had those years ago.
Absolutely.
And I'm imagining that the training and the equipment involve more than they did.
And the type of patient that we're seeing now, COVID really threw us at least about these patients that they shouldn't be sick, but they were just horrendously sick. And it seems like we're once again kind of climbing into that realm. These patients are not the guy that we used to see 5 years ago even. They're sicker. I'm looking just at that fall. We don't see tons of trauma here. They need that aggressive care. And Ron, you're 100% right. We are a very progressive unit when we have the capabilities. There seems to be a very high need in this community for this in comparison to 15 years ago.
So the proposal here is that whether it's a work session or a special meeting, it'd be just about this. And to assume that it's not going to be half an hour, it's going to be more, it's going to be longer than that. And I don't know if everything can be tied together in one night. But what I would like the council and maybe the public to understand, maybe as a preface to trying to figure out what to do, is some of the factors for being on an ambulance squad now. And some of the trouble, or not trouble, but difficulty you've had in volunteer recruitment. I know that you've recruited some, but I think we need a better understanding of how that goes and how volunteer participation has changed over time or gotten better, gotten worse, whatever. But it's, I guess from, I don't work with this every day, but I understand it's a difficult issue. And I think it's going to take more time to try to sit down and figure it out. And that's why I am hoping that between the council, the staff, the ambulance squad, maybe the public, we can just take some time and not talk about personalities, not talk about, well, this person, that person, but talk about how to go forward. And again, if we can't cover everything perfectly, what would be acceptable?
So does anybody have a preference, date, time? Should Brian send out a email asking?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
send out a survey of dates that could work. And I guess I would propose it starting similar to a council meeting.
You mean time-wise?
Yeah,
In the evening?
time-wise, for example, I might shoot for a non-council meeting Monday, if that could be a possibility, but I would throw in some other dates too.
Need a motion?
I've got it set up for a motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion. I think it's a great idea.
A second. Have you had a chance to talk to your staff and your volunteers about getting involved in this?
No, since this just popped up today, I don't see them until Wednesday.
Okay.
So we got a motion from Posture and a second from Helm to set up a special meeting.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
All right, so that ends the city business for this week and the mayor's report. This didn't make it onto the agenda as much, but I won't be here the first Monday in November. So I was hoping we could schedule it for either the Wednesday or possibly even the following Monday, which would, the Wednesday would be November 9th. Or could we even do the 8th? Oh, no, that's election day. Probably shouldn't do it then.
Right.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday. All right, is that all right with everybody?
I think. Should.
All right, so then the next meeting will be November 9th, and that's all I have for tonight. Council, committee, we do have Steve that was on here for now the November 9th agenda. That'd be all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want to?
yeah, you have something on here, previewing an item.
Can I talk right now?
Yeah, definitely.
I gotta take somebody's advice, maybe Melissa's, but sit right in the middle in the front so I can hear everybody.
Yeah.
Clay told me last time I was up here talking, I answered questions that weren't even asked. So I'm gonna try to do better tonight. This situation that we're involved with, like it or not, we compete with only one other entity in the area for good quality operator. People that can lead crews on a construction site, and have a good work ethic, and also live local. Because those are the kind of people that stay. They don't get experience here and then move on. So having said that, for secondary roads, they have a bigger crew. They have 21 people down there. We have 4. Currently, we have 3. One's been out for quite a while with shoulder issues, of course. So we've got 3 people, and 2 of those people have been with us 7, 8 years now and are capable of just about anything. Running all kinds of equipment, all the equipment that we have actually. And hitting up projects that normally we wouldn't do if we just had a normal crew that didn't have any experience. These guys have experience. 4 years ago, we put that sewer main in, that bypass up on 13th. That's not something that typically city crews do, but we had 4 guys that could do that. And Brian, of course, Brian Brennan is a big part of all that as well. We put the water main in, the guys did that water main stretch on 11th Street from North Avenue over to Cedar that was the connecting link between 2 existing newer mains. And that completed that loop and the guys did that, took them about a week. That's something we would do with experienced guys. Wouldn't be something we do with new hires. We also do a lot of concrete work anymore. And there's more to do all the time. The only reason we're doing so much this year is because the library has some money set aside to do more concrete. So we are getting that done and it looks nice. And tell you the truth, I go over there and just check on those guys and make sure everything's lined up right, walk away from it. Chris and Tucker basically heading up that operation over there. Done a great job. The front of the library looks very nice. I guess I don't have to say any more about that. But the challenge that we have as a city, as a council, as an organization, is how to retain those guys when the competition is quite a bit higher on salary, on an hourly basis. I don't have the answers to that other than kind of get closer to that. These 2 guys I'm talking about, Tucker and Chris, if we didn't have the stipulation of having to have a water distribution grade, they would probably both be at city worker 3 right now. Because they have everything else that a city worker 3 needs to have to be at that level. I know you guys, some of you guys are in business, but you know how that is, how you can walk away from a project and feel good about it's not going to be screwed up when you get back. That's the kind of feeling I get with these guys. So my question is, how do we retain those guys? Do we move them up to another city worker 3 grade? Do we adjust hourly on that city worker 2? There are seven lines on that. You guys have seen it on my memo where that is. We can move them up a couple of spots on that. That would put them at the low end of what the county is hiring that quality of operator right now. 25, I think I talked to Leanne up at the courthouse. They're 25 to 27 roughly. We're starting up there. These guys are 2250. So why do I ask that we move up to 25? Because that's the low end of our competition. I'd like to keep these guys. If we don't have experienced guys on public works, the service for the city will diminish at some level, to some degree. We won't be doing water mains probably. I know we won't be doing sewer work, that kind of thing. So we have, Tucker's been with us 7 years. He was a rookie right out of high school. I was afraid that, I told everybody if we could keep him alive till he was 25, he'd be good. And so far, yeah, he's still here. So that guy has really developed over the last few years. He is the best operator, young guy I've probably been around, and I've been around a long time. He's really developed. He's matured in that position, and just last week he started running the street sweeper. We haven't had a street sweeper guy designated since Dan Flake left. So
All right.
And then,
So,
of course, Chris can do anything. He's an electrician as well, and he's the backup garbage truck driver. If Chris is gone, finding a backup garbage truck driver right now would be a real challenge. In fact, I don't know how that would play out. Clay is my next guy. He knows how to run the garbage truck efficiently.
Yep.
So there's some challenges that I see down the road if my group changes much. The other thing I like about these guys is they work well together. It's a real team concept. Of course, Brian's welcome on occasion. We help them. I got to say this too, the gas and electric guys have been great during this time when we're a little short. They've helped us pour concrete a couple of times. It's a good city group that we have right now. I really enjoy this group of employees. Any thoughts from you guys? Maybe how we should pursue this? You've seen my write-ups and.
Well, at this point, you were meaning this to be at least a preview for the next meeting?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just,
think we're there.
I want to get some things out on the table, guys, so.
Mhm.
So that you have time to talk about, think about them, roll around a little bit. We're not under big pressure right now to change something. I think we will be in 2 or 3 weeks. And talking to Leanne up there, it takes about 2 months for them to hire. They're just starting interviews. By the time they interview everybody, well, not every, usually they have 20 to 30 applicants for a city position. They got 4 this time. So the people that I used to get 10 or 12 pretty consistently, but they're not out there. Nobody's really looking, the good people aren't looking for work. They've got jobs.
All right.
Any thoughts? Kim, you're in the real world out there. I know you've given this some thought.
Can't charge enough.
All right.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So this will be on the agenda for November 9th then?
It will be.
Yes.
I would, if there's discussion tonight, or any thoughts to throw out for us to think about?
We're just talking about 2 individuals right now.
We're talking about those 2 individuals that are in the write-up. Like, yeah. Because they're
Stop.
with that, Ron?
When does it stop?
When we don't have anybody to work
Well,
because
I
they've moved on.
think it stops. Like I said, if we went to that level, we'd be at the low end of the counties. The county did their wage study about 9 months after we did. As a result of that, they got different input and they bumped up pretty good. Of course, it's a union thing and they got the union fighting for them, but they didn't just.
Say we're not union.
Hmm?
You elected not to have the union for collective bargaining.
That's right. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't pay our people equivalent though, or pretty close. Are they worth it? That's the question. Are these guys worth it or do we let them go? How do you want to serve the
What do you
community?
say, starting is 22 something right now? The
They're
starting-
2250, 2248, I think.
That's the starting wage, right?
A
That's
little
where
less than that.
we're at
A
now.
little, yeah. That's where they are right now. But that's about where, I think that's where Nate started. See, that's the other thing. We don't distinguish. We already named as a city worker too. He got a good background, but not a lot of experience in what we do. So it's gonna take him a while to get there. But he's getting the same pay basically as Tucker and Chris. Which, like I say, if they'd had their water distribution certification, they'd have been moved up probably to city worker 3.
So how's the rest of the staff talking?
What's that, Ryan?
How's the rest of the staff within all the city departments feel about it?
I haven't told anybody else in the.
You know,
We've got-
there's where you start, you know, the public works staff personnel, you know, receive a benefit. You know, what's that going to impact to the taxpayers for our exterior linemen, for gas, our secretarial office staff, city hall, management, you know,
Well, these two increases from my standpoint are based on very positive evaluations. I mean, this is just a slam dunk stamp it, they moved up, so we're gonna move up, stamp this, and these two guys are gonna move up.
And
That's not what this is about,
you spent money for, the Hanson report, correct?
correct?
Can you follow it?
And that is in the wage study.
Yeah.
Part of the wage study was that the department head supervisors with administrative, city manager, and then council approvals can make those adjustments within those ranges. So that was talked about and approved. To be able to make those movements when individuals show based off of performance that it's time.
It complies with the instant study. From the letter.
You say it'd be easier if they passed their distribution certification?
They would be moved to city worker 3. This is city worker 2 yet, moving up the pay scale on city worker 2, which is outlined in my memo. I believe on the second page. Yeah, I always wondered that too. Where does it stop? Ron, tell you the truth, it never stopped. Have you ever seen it stop in your lifetime? I worked for Buck 25 climbing trees 50 years ago, but now what do tree climbers get? A lot.
$1.75.
5, 30,
Yeah.
really
You know,
good,
my biggest
really
thing
good
is
climber was
still-
35.
the city doesn't
That's
have
what I
an open
paid.
checkbook.
Well, they don't have open checks, but they didn't. We have to be competitive though.
Have to be competitive in there.
And in all honesty, for what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that that's what the wages were until I read your report. And
Well, that's what I
you
wondered.
go outside of this area right here, anywhere outside this area, you can get more than that. You go to McDonald's, make $17 an hour.
And what skills do you take to that job?
I don't want to flip burgers,
No, done it.
Well, and
so
I don't want to extend this too much, but it really doesn't begin and end with Public Works because we're having problems in the electric utility.
that's the only problem I see is if we go with 2 individuals, are we gonna have everybody want to get involved now? We'll have a meeting every week.
Well, they may want to, but there's kind of a difference between what the market is for some jobs and what it isn't for others. And in the case of the electric utility, I'm not saying that we're going to beat REC or Alliant or anything like that, but we have to do something like what Steve's talking about and get ourselves in the running. We had a journeyman lineman who accepted a job offer and then the next day or so got a better one and went there. And so the electric utility is shorthanded. Different kind of problem, but same kind of problem. Different kind of budget, but still the same kind of problem.
This is gonna be on the November 9th one, right?
Yes,
Steve's will.
yes, Steve's will. So November 9th.
Okay,
Thank you, Steve. Any other department heads? All right, so if there is none, that moves us down to adjournment. There's a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Caution with the first and Helm with the second.
Hembry, McNeil,
McNeil, are you good to adjourn?
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Caution.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.